Top 10 Misconceptions about the most dangerous travel destinations. Tehran, Iran. If you grew up in the US and maybe during some time periods in the UK, chances are that you view Iran as the last place you'd want to go. Most people visualize it as a desert nation with regular terrorist attacks and general conflict. They don't realize that they're probably picturing parts of Afghanistan or the Arabian Peninsula. Although Iran does have deserts, they barely cover 25% of the country. In comparison, China's deserts make up about 30% of their territory. Moreover, Iran's deserts are very different from what you're imagining. Antarctica. When we think of Antarctica, we think of a frozen wasteland with variations of snow-covered, barren terrain. It also sounds extremely dangerous, as any remote place without a steady stream of supplies tends to be. If you do the research, though, you'll find that Antarctica is gradually becoming one of the best places for adventure lovers. Detroit, Michigan, USA. The United States is hardly uniform when it comes to tourist safety. Although certain U.S. cities are recognized as among the safest and most hospitable in the world, others, like Gary, Indiana, have become internet jokes over how dangerous they are. Detroit also has a bad reputation. In fact, its decayed urban setting served as an ideological backdrop for quite a few dystopian cyberpunk movies. Make no mistake, Detroit still has high crime rates. But you can probably spend a weekend or two there without taking a tremendous risk. Kiev, Ukraine. On first look, Ukraine doesn't seem to be the kind of country where you'd want to spend a relaxing week. Its ongoing war makes it an active conflict zone, giving it a reputation for continuous danger. That's absolutely justified because some parts of Ukraine are still embroiled in a battle with Russia. Far away from the conflict, however, Kiev remains one of Europe's least expensive and most lively destinations. Republic of Kosovo. Kosovo, a tiny country in the Balkans, may not figure often in our news cycle these days. But it still bears the scars of one of the most brutal wars of the 20th century. Fought between the rapidly disintegrating Yugoslavian troops and Albanian rebels, the war was part of the larger phenomenon of the Balkanization of Yugoslavia. Although Kosovo still carries much of that violent reputation, it's largely unfounded because the war is long over. Today, Pristina, the country's charming capital, is one of the safest cities in Eastern Europe. Visitors from English-speaking nations will be glad to know that almost everyone speaks the language in Kosovo, even though the republic is as foreign and distinct as it can be. Istanbul, Turkey. Contrary to popular belief, Istanbul is not the capital of Turkey. However, it is still considered to be the best city to visit in the country, at least by some people. Even so, Istanbul has endured quite a few cases of unrest in the recent past. Zimbabwe. Many conversations in Zimbabwe inevitably turn to its ravaged economy and what happens when you let your leaders do whatever they want for 1 second. Zimbabwe is a great example of how unchecked inflation can destroy a country. Everyday goods now cost exorbitant amounts of money. Needless to say, it's not the best spot to have a fancy bespoke wedding. St. Petersburg, Russia. The reputation of Russia as a dangerous travel destination probably originated during the Putin era, and rightfully so. If you're a journalist working to uncover the shady connections between private Russian industries and Putin, we'd highly recommend against going to Russia to do it. Other than that, the country contains many UNESCO World Heritage Sites and some of the most distinctive artistic styles anywhere. China. China is often portrayed as a rogue state in the global media, and for good reasons. First, the country has the most internal surveillance of any nation. In fact, its citizens lack many freedoms that we take for granted. China is also becoming more militaristic and flexing its muscles in the region. As a result, most of us think that going to China will probably lead to our arrests, or worse. Medellin, Colombia. When Pablo Escobar, the ruthless king of cocaine, was alive, Medellin was a particularly violent city. With one of the worst rates of gang-related murder in the world, Medellin was hardly anyone's top pick as a travel spot. Although we can't say that all violence has disappeared, we'll still argue that the situation has improved substantially.